Good morning, Dubai. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show, where we go through all the trending stories that everyone in Dubai is talking about. Today, top story, crystal meth valued at 69 million dirham was found by Dubai police.
And we'll also be talking about a shipwreck in Dubai that left a family stranded for 45 minutes.
We have the story about an unattended dog at a home in Dubai, which is sparking concern. There are worried residents. We're going to talk about that.
As well as Shein has taken accountability for selling the same design as a local fashion label.
And do stay tuned, because later on in the show, we're going to be joined by India's most talented ghazal singer, who's of course bringing a sensational show to Dubai on May 6th. We had Punjab Ukhas on the show, such a gent, such a lovely guy, and I chatted to him yesterday at 6 p.m. and it was so nice to have him, and that will be later on in the show. So if you are a fan of his music, which spans decades and awards and so many albums, do stay tuned.
Pankaj Udhas is literally OG, so you're so lucky that you got to speak to him. He's like one of those Indian music gems. So
I got that impression as soon as we put a question up and we were about to talk to him. Like, so many people sent in like funny, serious questions. Someone was like, I saw you growing up when I was in New Delhi, so when are you going to come watch me? But before we get into all of that, I want to get your thoughts, your feedback, your concerns about a big move that happened in the US, which was the US District Attorney Judge Catherine Kimball-Mizell. She basically said that travel mask law, i.e. you need to wear your mask in public transport, is unlawful.
Yeah.
So she made this announcement, and the second the announcement was made, it came into force. So potentially people on flights, which is exactly what happened, people on certain airlines, the airlines announced you can take off your masks.
Yeah.
So it went on the loudspeaker and you had kind of the airline cabin crew growing in, and the videos that we've seen is that they're actually quite happy about it. They're like, remove your mask, and they're singing. But this is just like, it happened. So then you have all this like 200 people on a flight who are like, well, what if I don't want to?
Yeah. I mean, you see in the video, you're seeing people rejoice and just going like, yeah, and cheering and just taking off their masks. As the flight attendants walk down the aisle, they're holding this rubbish bag that people are throwing their masks into. But there are people like really happy about this. But of course, in the comments, you see people are just like really disgusted with this kind of behavior. And then you see other people who were on that flight reaching out, I mean, like just sharing the experience on social media, and they're just like, I was on board and I'm pregnant. Also, I have a child who's unvaxxed, and this kind of, like mid-flight behavior was just not okay.
And you have the same people, you have those people on the flight.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in that? Is it too far to say mob mentality?
Mob mentality?
Mob mentality, because you're sitting in your flight and the captain makes an announcement, the cabin crew come rushing through and they're like, remove your mask.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there and you're like, well, I don't want to, but at what point am I going to stand up and be like, I'd rather if everyone kept your masks on because I'm here with an unvaxxed child.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I get that point. Yeah, when you're in the situation, you just don't know exactly, your thoughts aren't clear, so you're just going to go with the flow. But at the same time, it's like people on social media really reacting so strongly against it. I get there. I totally understand where they're coming from. But I'm sure sometime in your life, it's just like where you were supposed to wear a mask, you weren't wearing one. It's like, because the rules have eased so much, you're just like, you know what, like I'm gonna just remove my mask. And not everyone wears their masks in flights anyway. Like whilst eating, you remove your mask. And I think like watching TV or something, your mask does come below your nose at some point. So it does happen in flights that not everyone is just fully compliant.
So you're saying it doesn't make a massive deal because people are probably a bit like this anyway.
Yeah, at some point the masks do come down when they're eating, especially.
Which is fine. And like, I get that, of course. It's just the behavior of the country. It wouldn't happen on Emirates or Etihad.
I mean, the fact that
Why not? Could you imagine like Etihad crew going down, like remove your mask like in the middle before, just as the announcement? Maybe the captain would announce it as like new law has come into force, but you wouldn't see the cabin crew kind of like, unless they had, gotten the command in terms of like, how are we going to make sure that everyone is safe and everyone is comfortable? You just wouldn't see that.
That's true. That's so true. Okay, the fact that they walked down the aisle with rubbish bags for the masks, that was like an extra step. The announcement, I think, was like, you're just happy hearing that because it's been 2 years and you're like, you know what, like this might just make the passengers so happy and like it's good news, good information. So let's just get it out there. But yeah, just like, that's like pressurizing people.
However, the guy in the video, I think it's a Delta Airlines flight, so he's holding the bag, his vocals,
So good.
they're so on point. Although what he's doing, I'm totally against. His vocals are just perfection.
Right?
Remove your mask. Okay, let's jump into it. You're a very good singer, Simran.
Casey!
You are, and I
We're
do
both
feel
the
like you
same.
flex sometimes because I think you're looking for a record deal. So you like pop it in every now and then. And
No. Like we literally have like opera vocals, both Casey and I. So, I mean, like you heard just now.
so, Hadir, you're watching. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're actually missing what could be a brilliant show if we chose to sing it, but we will not. Not today. Not
Why?
until we have more viewers who are
That's
tuning
true,
in.
that's true.
Until we get people begging us.
Right?
Then.
Yeah.
So, Hadir, if you can please ask us to sing, maybe.
Pay
But
us
until
to
then-
sing extra.
Yeah, that would help. Speaking of a lot of money, which is a lot of money, which is unfair. A lot of money, which is not where it should be going, basically. Crystal meth valued at 69 million dirham was found by Dubai police. So 10 residents were arrested for trying to smuggle 1,056 kg of crystal meth with an estimated street value of 68 million dirham. Now that's $18 million into the UAE. So this slick investigation carried out by General Department of Anti-Narcotics revealed the suspects attempting to smuggle the narcotics. They're trying to do it in these commercial solar panels, 264 of them, just showing you exactly how intricate these drug dealers or smugglers are getting with their, it's not shampoo bottles anymore.
Oh my God, no.
So the Dubai police, they spared no effort to arrest these drug dealers and smugglers and promoters in general, and they thwart their attempts to harm our country. So the police said they are constantly developing mechanisms to stay ahead of criminals and their deceptive methods.
Now, in this case, police got a security tip on an international drug syndicate intending to smuggle a shipment of drugs arriving from a South African country. Now, in a shipment of solar panels. They said we made sure all our suspects involved were apprehended and brought to justice by closely monitoring the first accused who received the shipment at a port, drove it into the emirate and eventually, was that me? Yeah. And drove it into the emirate and eventually led us into the 9 remaining suspects. Now, the Dubai's police anti-narcotics team tracked the first suspect as he transferred the shipment from the airport into a warehouse to ship it again to another country. And also he explained...
He went on to further confirm that they arrested all 10 subjects, seizing the crystal meth, which was hidden, like we said, in those solar panels. And all of that, there was actually 1 million dirham in their possession. So those 10 people are off the streets. But of course, the message from Dubai police is always the harm that this type of shipment can do to the community is just horrifically scary. So we love their kind of like quick action on this type of story. And you saw when they initially shared the story, like thousands of people read it, liked it, and then just like praised Dubai police for their constant achievements in this area to keep drugs off our streets in Dubai.
Honestly, love that. I remember like there was this one big news that broke out last year, the year before. It's like someone came in with a suitcase full of really pressed and ironed shirts. And the police were really suspicious, like a suitcase full of ironed and pressed shirts.
God, that couldn't happen.
Right.
Imagine just ironed shirts.
While traveling, like who packs like that? And they checked the shirts, and it's like it had drugs like pressed into it in the collar. So, and then when they washed it, they found like, I don't know, like narcotics, just like really pressed and steamed into the shirt. And that's insane. Like you said, it's so intricate, like how they become with their
We've seen bananas, we've seen shampoo bottles, we've seen all sorts of ways people are trying to develop new mechanisms to smuggle drugs in through the UAE, through UAE ports, and sometimes onto other countries. Dubai police are on top of it. If you are new to the city, if you are new to the country, just be aware drug laws here are very, very different to other countries. It's not tolerated. You don't see it like you do in other countries. I know there's laws against drugs in every country, but we don't see it on our streets because of how strict Dubai police are, UAE in general. And those 10 people who are arrested will not see their streets the light of day for a long, long time because of how strict it is.
Of course. And that also speaks a lot about the way we pack, no, the way you laugh. Because no one packs. Just coming back to that story.
I was joking, Simran. Many people
Oh, many people do pack that well. Like,
imagine, how do you pack? I'm curious. Well, I said, look, if I
yes, yeah.
I don't wear shirts. But if I did and I was going on a business trip, I would hopefully have
Neatly
4
piled.
ironed, done shirts. So then when I get to my, new place with my business suitcase, I'm going to pop on my shirt. I feel like that's how business people pack. What
So
do you?
why is that suspicious though?
So,
You're so smart.
that was your words. So people have one piece of luggage. Simran, I imagine, has the house. You have the kitchen sink.
Yeah, I guess. Like
I'd love to see. I think you've shared photos before of you traveling.
Oh, yeah, and that is only when I travel back to see my family. It's just me carrying a lot of gifts.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah. But it's always excess luggage, and it's just the worst.
Yeah, I'm surprised people are curious about your baggage because so much, as opposed to a business suitcase. You're saying you're.
I mean, but my stuff is just literally thrown in there. I'm not the best packer. I'll just at first, I'm very organized. And then everything, at one point, I'm just like, you know what, now nothing makes sense. Let's just throw everything in there, right?
It starts so well. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna, and then my towels and my jeans and then the toiletries and the beauty stuff and the shoes and the jewelry. And it just becomes this thing. I'm just saying.
Exactly. That's why they were so suspicious about this one luggage. Said, but we move on to our next story. A shipwreck in Dubai left a family stranded for 45 minutes. Now, a Dubai-based family of 6 endured extreme distress after their boat sunk 2 kilometers away from Atlantis in the Arabian Sea. Now, Maya Sarkis shared the unfortunate story of her family's fishing trip gone wrong exclusively with Lovin Dubai, which took place, and this incident took place on Saturday, April 16th, when Maya and her family rented a boat from Dubai Marina and headed into the waters for a fishing trip at dusk.
So Maya, her husband, 2 daughters who are aged 14 and 16, her father and brother-in-law, they went through this overwhelming ordeal when the boat started sinking just 2 hours into their fishing trip. Look, we've all done these boat trips from Marina, so you know how frightening this could be. And as the boat started sinking, Maya's husband was quick to contact the Dubai police and request their services. However, at that very moment, there was no response.
So within 2 minutes, they're both completely submerged, and the family of 6 were left stranded in the sea for over 45 minutes. But then Maya did share that a miracle took place when her husband noticed his phone when she noticed his phone was lighting underwater. She said, "Thank God a miracle happened. My husband saw a light coming from his pocket and the phone was ringing. It was the police. The battery percentage was 9% and it was fully underwater. So that was quite a miracle. And 25 minutes, the rescue team came within 25 minutes and made sure they were proper and safe.
And then they were all transferred to Al Zahra Hospital on Sheikh Zayed Road to undergo a routine checkup. Maya thanked Dubai's proactive and diligent authorities for coming through in the nick of time and saving her family from a potential fatality.
Yeah, and if you find yourself in situations where you need emergency services, please call 999 for police, 998 for ambulance, 997 for the fire department, which is the civil defense, and 996 for the Coast Guard.
Like I said, I love, by the way, weekends when it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're down in like the Blue Waters area and the number of yachts, I'm like, who are you people? Where do you get your boats from? But it's this whole like, it's this whole, but it's this whole like ecosystem, and it just shows like the thriving waterways of Dubai. And unfortunately, in this case, an accident happened. So we're so glad Maya and her family are safe. But I'm always thinking, I'm like, it's not like the roads where there's like a straight in the back. So, it's great to hear that we don't hear other accidents like this.
Very true. And honestly, any kind of accident is just so traumatizing and scary. But especially when you're out in the sea, another level altogether, like in the waters. And I am so scared of just being out in the sea for these exact reasons.
For these exact reasons. Are you fearful of boats, yachts?
I'm scared of the sea. Like I would never go on a small boat. Like if it was a proper yacht or ship, like I would consider. I wouldn't go on cruises.
You wouldn't go on a cruise? They're massive.
Yeah, but just you know what? I think last birth I was in the Titanic. I have a fear of the sea, and that also I just don't know from where because I never had any past experience, like a bad experience. Never had one. It's just like I'm scared of the sea. You know, they say the sea can be a loving yet harsh mistress. It's like she can love you and caress your wounds, but at the same time crush your bones in a matter of seconds. No, it's scary.
I'm not scared of the sea, but you have a way with words that's quite frightening, and I feel like Sibrit is all knowing deep down, which is worrying. I hope we can one day cure that because the sea is beautiful and the ocean is amazing. Let's jump on to our next story. An unattended dog at a home in Dubai is sparking concern. So Lovin Dubai received reports about a dog who was regularly left unattended outside in a small space. So security in this community have been informed that the dog was left outside with no access to AC, and a resident who was there said that the dog didn't actually even have access to food or water.
Now, the owner of the home and animal is aware of the public scrutiny and has told authorities that he's dealing with it. However, one resident reports that they've spotted the dog locked up for 4 days in a row. An animal should never be left unattended in garages or especially in balcony spaces with the doors completely shut, and for them to have no access to go back inside, and air conditioning, water, food. It's just horrible.
I mean, most communities even give guidelines about looking after pets and animals, and in this case one of them is do not restrain or leave your pets ever unattended. So like you said, you know, they shouldn't be left tied up on balconies or in confined spaces. It's just humanity in terms of looking after your animal. And in this case, the resident who reported it has spoken to the owner. She's also spoken to the authorities. The owner has said he's dealing with it, and the animal actually hasn't been that well, but the resident's response to that is like, well, you know,
to the vet.
But also, I think the animal has been taken to the vet, but also the little poor doggy needs more space and is just going to roast, because as we get into the summer months, we really need to consider how you're looking after your animals, making sure they have ample shade. If they can't be inside, they need shade. They need lots of water. And this is just like an awareness piece to all animal owners. It's even tricky, like as you come into the summer months, like, can you walk your dog? And this is the question I want to put to dog owners. This is the question I have. Can you walk your dog during the summer months in the middle of the day? Because traditionally we get up at like early o'clock, and then someone does late o'clock, and you just can't, because outdoor the ground is too hot for them.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have seen
their paws.
Exactly. I have seen dogs wearing little shoes.
Yeah. I don't know, like those shoes are so tricky because sometimes they just come off.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like not all dogs are going to be wearing the shoes.
Yeah. I think you have to train them from a very young age for them to get used to the shoes. Otherwise, they remove it themselves, or sometimes it just comes off.
Should I put a treadmill outside for Goose?
Oh my God, doggy treadmill.
I saw a trainer in Dubai. One of my friends went, their dog had to go to a doggy boarding school.
Yeah.
Rex was not a good boy. We had to go off and like had strict training so they could get him back on track. And one of the things that the trainer used, which initially when I saw it, I was kind of like, is that okay? But during the summer months, apparently, if you have a dog who needs to kind of release energy, pop it on a little treadmill.
That's so cute. Have you seen Hotel for Dogs, the movie? Oh, it is so cute, and they have this whole hotel set up, and they have a gym there for the dogs, treadmills and all of that. So I think people do have that functioning for dogs. But of course, it is so disturbing when you hear of incidents such as this. And I mean, don't take the responsibility of owning a pet if you're not able to care for it in the appropriate way. So I'm so glad the resident who saw this like shared this on social media and is trying to take action and help the dog out, because someone needs to. But we move on to our next story. Shein has taken accountability for selling the same design as a local fashion label. Now, although it's very uncommon to find similar designs at different stores and fast fashion brands, shoppers may not know who owns the intellectual property rights of the design. Now, the local fashion label FMM noticed that a couple of their designs were being copied and sold across Shein. And FMM took to their Insta stories to share their disappointment, as a couple of their designs were being sold for much cheaper prices on Shein, but after a few days, Shein took accountability.
So this is really amazing. FMM shared Shein's response, which stated, hello. Shein respects the intellectual property rights of designers and artists and others. We take issues related to originality seriously and continuously improve our protection mechanism for originality. We also require our suppliers to comply with this code of conduct, and they need to demonstrate that their products do not infringe the intellectual property rights of third parties. So if individual suppliers are found to be non-compliant, we will take immediate measures and we will ban individual suppliers who have repeatedly infringed, i.e. they're working with different suppliers who potentially have infringed. At present, we've removed the product you mentioned and investigated the relevant suppliers. Thanks for your feedback.
Now, the brand took responsibility for its supplier, which attempted to copy FMM's design, and the design will not be sold on the website anymore. And this is a great step from Shein and commendable. Now, of course, and this should also entice other fashion brands out there to not turn a blind eye to this issue and just, stray away from plagiarism of designs and ideas, because it's so much hard work that goes into it when designers put their heart, soul, blood, sweat, and tears into what they're creating, and then it's just plagiarized.
Especially if you're a designer with not a huge, you could just be starting your career. Exactly. And then to see your designs be used, which you probably potentially want to work with these bigger brands. Do you follow Diet Prada?
Yeah, I do.
So Diet Prada, in case you don't know, they have this amazing Instagram account where they call out the fashion community, usually bigger brands, for plagiarism, and they also share lots of other kind of zeitgeisty stories. But they're amazing because, insert famous brand here will come out with a new design and they'll be like, I think Balenciaga did that in 1986, and then they'll show you the archives and you'll be like, yeah, the very same. How do they? Because their knowledge of the industry is so amazing. But also, I think some of their stories. I saw once a designer had, submitted some potential designs to Vans or a shoe brand. Her designs weren't accepted, and then 3 months later they used something like it. But these types of stories getting attention makes other designers be like, oh, hey, I can actually call out the designer. Yes. I can call out the brands for reusing, and potentially they'll notice. And in this case, well done to Shein for being like, hands up, our supplier did this. I think it's great. And
the internet is like one big courtroom, you put something out there and people just they make their judgment. And then now with the cancel culture, it's brands have to be so aware that they don't cheat or replicate in a way that completely plagiarizes a design. And I think with creatives, it's so tricky. It's with music and fashion, it's there is at some point okay, you can get inspired by certain things, and then at some point it's full on plagiarism. It's you completely copy and paste, and like you said, that's happened to so many up and coming designers where big brands have seen it or taken the exact same thing and have given no credit to where they've taken inspiration.
Well, I think you've made two good points there, especially that it can also be a grey area.
Yeah.
But also what you said about the internet being a courtroom is so true, because it may not matter what's right or wrong. It's sometimes if you have the public will decide. The public will make their vote. Speaking of the public, good morning to everyone who's tuning in. Kamisha and Kristen, good morning. You're watching from South Africa. Oh. And it looks like Alil is watching from France, or they're French anyway. Bonjour à vous deux. Bonjour à toi.
Bonjour. Speaking of bonjour and French, we have this new thing we started that's called Arabic Word of the Day. And today's word is, are you ready for it?
Yes. Let me open my dictionary.
Okay.
Because this is very important that we track these, and I need to write it down or else I won't remember. So today's word of the day, please, Simran, is?
Okay. It is sayara.
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 Like sayonara? No.
Close, sayonara, but it's Sayyara.
Okay, and what does it mean?
Sayyara means car.
Really?
Yes.
I never knew that.
As a new driver on the road, there you go.
In your Sayara.
When you hop into your Sayyara.
Use it in a sentence, please. I need a Sayara. I want to buy a Sayara. If anyone has a Pajero, by the way, I'm looking for one.
Secondhand?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Unless someone's willing to sell a new one at second-hand prices, I'm good with that too. So yesterday's word of the day was Jamila, which is
yeah.
beautiful. And we put the question on our Instagram stories. We got a lot of helpful ones through, but we only can do one a day because that's all our minds can hold and remember. So my Jamila Sayara was very cheap. Now you do it.
That's good. Yeah, that's what you would say once you get your car. Right?
I know, but I'm manifesting.
My friends always let me drive their Sayyara.
Oh, do they? Can you put both in a sentence?
Jamila, yeah. I wore a very Jamila outfit when I drove my Sayyara. It's like we're in school again.
And finally, from Ali, who actually can speak Arabic. Sayara Jamila, nice car. Why do I put an Italian inflection when I'm doing Arabic? When I speak Arabic, can you
I hear it now.
say it again, Ali, one more time? Sayara Jamila. Do it.
Sayyara Jamila.
Sayara Jamila.
You just did it?
Oh, thank you. Sayara Jamila. You have a very Sayara Jamila. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're with you every single weekday morning. By the way, if you're waiting for that Bunkaj Udhas interview, we're having some technical difficulties, but we will bring it to you tomorrow. He's coming for Eid. We are super excited about it. And that'll be on tomorrow's show. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.